Thinking about making a move to Minnesota? Maybe even coming from a warm weather climate like California, Texas, or Florida? Well, I'm just going to say it. The Minnesota winters here are going to rock your world. And if you don't know what you're doing, this cold will absolutely find a way to destroy something in your house, be it your roof, your furnace, even your plumbing. So in this video, we're going to take you through 10 tips to help you and your home survive that Minnesota winter like a champ. Well, it is absolutely true, especially if you are an out-of-stater coming from a warm weather climate. Minnesota winters are kind of a thing of legend, and they are no joke. As someone who is in the middle of their 46th Minnesota winter right now, I can tell you we get tons of snow. We get temperatures that sit in the 20s. We get a lot of days at or below zero. In my time in Minnesota, I have seen 33 below was the coldest I ever saw. Don't worry, that's not regular. But the point is, that kind of cold creates a lot of wear and tear on everything from your car to your house. So in this video, I'm gonna take you through 10 tips to make sure you and that home get through winter unscathed. It can save you thousands of dollars and lots of time and just effort in repair by doing a few simple things to make that home winter ready. Before I bust open category number one, just a quick story. A couple of years ago, I sold a home to a couple from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And when we walked into the basement on this home, just by the look on their face and then what came out of their mouth, was very much the first time they had literally ever even seen a furnace. So guess where we're going with category number one? Category number one is going to be knowing your home's heating system and just having a basic understanding. So we're going to talk about this. This is mainly for you, my out-of-state warm weather friends coming to Minnesota. And thing number one is understand Minnesota homes use two primary sources of heat. I'm going to run you through both of them. So number one is going to be forced air. This is a furnace that is using ductwork to push hot air out into your home. Think of a vent in the wall, pushing hot air. You can put your hand there and feel the hot air coming out. That's forced air. Pros of these systems, they heat the home very quickly. They work in conjunction with your central air conditioner through the same ductwork. It's kind of a sneaky side perk is they are great for air filtration and indoor air quality because a lot of these newer furnaces are also filtering the air. Less expensive to repair and very easy thermostat control. A little pro tip, you can get one that runs a thermostat that runs on your Wi-Fi, so when you're returning home from that warm weather vacation and you get to the airport, you can fire up the furnace in your house so it's nice and warm when you get there. Biggest cons to forced air is going to be they really do dry out the air, so that you can get a humidifier to work with your furnace system, but that's just something to be aware of is they do dry out the air. A little bit of noise, there can be some uneven heating, but the biggest downside of forced air is going to be how they dry it out. The other main, and I should just add before we wrap that up, if your home was built after 1980 or later in Minnesota, odds are overwhelming you've got forced air. So the other kind of heat is called radiant heat. And the difference here is now this is basically using hot water instead of air, and it is circulating it around the home. So, we're talking about radiators, in-floor heat, things of that nature. The pros, this is a wonderful, very comfortable heat, nicer than forced air for sure. It is completely silent. It does not dry out your air like forced air does, and it's very consistent. Major downsides to radiant heat, there's no, if it's an older home, there very well be no ductwork, which then means it cannot work with the central AC, so you are now left navigating how you're going to cool the home. That should be on your radar, my friends. If you are buying a home in Minnesota and it's got radiant heat, make sure you are asking questions about how that home is getting cooled. Some other downsides, they are slower to respond. They won't heat your home as fast as forced air, and we already mentioned the challenges with air conditioning. So that catches newcomers off guard. Be aware, radiant heat and air conditioner, make sure there's some connection there before you purchase that home. If you're considering buying here in Minnesota, basic questions you want to ask: how old is the furnace, whether it's boiler or forced air? When was the last time it was serviced? When was the last time the filter was changed? And I always recommend, for my buyers, if you're buying a home, ask that seller to get the furnace, the whole home, the HVAC system tuned up and certified to be in good working order. It's a really easy way to save yourself some big money down the road. New furnace, depending on the size of the home, you're probably these days anywhere on the low end at $6,000. Like anything else, you can pay a heck of a lot more if you've got a bigger home and you need 2 furnaces, things like that. So understand, my friends, in Minnesota, a failing furnace is not an inconvenience. It's a freaking emergency if it happens in the middle of winter. Make sure you're asking some good questions here. Make sure you're covered in that department. Well, if category number 1 was heating that home, category number 2 is going to be keeping that heat inside your home. So that's going to be dealing with insulation and air sealing. Keeping heat inside homes in Minnesota has absolutely become a science. Few things to look for here. You want attic insulation with an R value of 49 minimum, and an R value of R60 or higher is preferred. What the heck is an R value, you say? R value is basically just a measure of how well a certain material does at retaining heat. When it comes to R values, understand higher is better, okay? Look for air gaps. That can be done real simply. If you've got older windows in Minnesota, when it gets cold, you will very literally be able to put your hands around the windows. And if you've got really old windows, you will straight up feel drafts coming in through the door. So you want to identify air gaps that are going to be around windows, doors, baseboards, attic access, rim joints, weather stripping on entry doors, things like that. So look for airflow. If you can feel it, address it with some weather stripping. If the windows are extremely drafty, you might want to look at new windows, but hopefully that's something you're going to be dealing with before you purchase the home. Keeping the heat inside your home is a really big deal. Insulation and air sealing are the #1 ways you can reduce heating costs, prevent ice dams, improve your comfort, extend your roof lifespan, extend your furnace's lifespan. It's one of the highest ROI values you can make. So make sure you address insulation and airflow for winter in that Minnesota. And by the way, before we get to tip number 3, my name is Chris. I am your winter guide in white, real estate agent extraordinaire. I have lived here the entire 45 years of my life, and I understand this culture and this crazy climate. If we can help you, my contact information is all right here. It's also down below. Don't be afraid to drop me a line if we can help you out. Let's get back into tip number 3. Moving right along, category 3, and we touched on this in category number 2. Have you ever heard of an ice dam? If you're from Florida or anywhere warm, I'm sure you haven't. So an ice dam is not a pile of snow. An ice dam is a issue on your roof that can be a $10,000 repair waiting to happen. So what the heck is an ice dam? An ice dam is when ice forms on your roof and backs up and basically starts pushing back up under the shingles and disrupts the covering on your roof to the point that you can get water intrusion, things like that. Ice dams form kind of related to category number 2. How ice dams form: heat escapes your home and goes up into your attic. So you're getting that hot air going up into your attic. So it is now melting the snow on the underside of your roof. That melted snow runs down the roof. It runs down to the edge of your roof where it's going to be colder and it freezes again. So that cycle is repeating. You have water running down the roof and freezing as it gets to the edge. So that ice dam gets bigger and bigger and bigger, pushes back up into your home. Kind of a funny little thing. In Minnesota, you don't want a warm attic in winter because that's melting that snow on your roof. You actually want a cool attic. Signs of an ice dam are going to be huge icicles, water staining on the ceiling, cold rooms on the top floor, just to name a few. So how do you want to prevent them? Well, back to category number 2. You want to make sure you have sufficient attic insulation. That by itself is a huge one. You also want to improve the ventilation of your attic if that's an issue. Seal air leaks, seal leaks around fixtures, chimneys, attic doors. Use that roof rake to take snowfall off that roof after a heavy snow. That's coming up, don't worry. And if needed, you can install heat cables. If you're wondering what heat cables are, reach out to me and I'll be happy to take you through what that is. So as a Minnesota homeowner, you must understand that ice dams are extremely preventable. They are an extremely real thing, and they are very costly if ignored. So a little preventative maintenance, proper airflow, insulation, best way to address that one. Category number 4, I think, is going to be more obvious than ice dams, and that's going to be driveways, snow management, and just kind of thinking through that whole thing. So let me just talk to you about this. If you're a Minnesota homeowner, you're going to become a snow removal expert real quick. Yes, even if you're moving here from Florida. So a few things my warm weather relocators may not think about. When it comes to driveways, so most homes in Minnesota are going to have a driveway. And most of those driveways are going to be made out of one of two things: asphalt or concrete. Concrete is nice. It lasts a long time. It lasts longer. It's going to need less maintenance. The downside to concrete is ice and snow is going to stay on that driveway a lot longer than it will on an asphalt driveway. An asphalt driveway is black in color. It absorbs heat, and they actually can be your friend as far as helping melt some of that snow and ice off your driveway. So I don't think it's a deal breaker for a home, but just be aware, asphalt or concrete driveway, especially if you've got a concrete driveway with a significant slope to it, it's just something to have on your radar. If you've got a rear-wheel drive car trying to get up a icy concrete drive in the winter, it ain't happening. So you just need to think through these things before you do it. Shovel your snow before you drive on your driveway. As soon as you drive over that snow, it gets compacted down and it gets a lot harder to remove, and that gets exponentially harder. If it snows on Monday and you wait to shovel till Wednesday night and you've been driving over that snow, it becomes a mess. So shovel it before it gets packed down. Last thing on the driveway, consider the direction it's facing. North-facing concrete driveway is going to be icy all winter. A southern-facing asphalt driveway is a dream for Minnesota winters. So consider the driveway and an approach to getting that snow out of there before you get that Minnesota winter. Well, category 5 is about to be a fun one, no doubt. Rats, mice. Do you like them? So rodents are a real Minnesota homeowner problem. I know you guys in southern climates have mice, and I've never seen a rat in a house here, so we've got that going for us. But rodents are an issue, and it's really driven by the temperature change. When temperatures go plummeting to below zero, things like mice, squirrels, even chipmunks will start looking for warm places, and guess what? Your home is one of them. So rodents can squeeze through a gap as small as a 1/4 inch. So they are squeezing through some tiny places that you would likely look at and be like, that's not an issue. It probably is. They love warm attics and basements. There's another reason you don't want an overly warm attic. They like chewing through wiring, which can be a fire hazard, and they contaminate insulation through their feces. So fun stuff. You know, just to be real honest with you too, if you live in Minnesota, your home, you got one of two scenarios for homes in Minnesota. You've got homes that have mice, and you have homes that are going to have mice. So don't let it scare you away. Just be prepared to deal with it. Some prevention steps: seal foundation cracks with steel wool and caulk, install door sweeps, cover dryer vents and attics so rodents can't get in. What you're really doing is just trying to block all these entry points for mice. And realize mice can crawl up trees, run across a tree limb, and get into your house on the roof line. That's actually one of the major ways rodents can get into homes. So you want to keep your home free from those, tree branches hanging, providing a nice walkway for those guys to get into your house. Keep birdseed, pet food, things like that in places where they can't get them. Rodents are not a sign of you're messy, and like I said, they are in Minnesota. They are largely par for the course. And there's, just to kind of wrap this session up, in my experience in Minnesota, there's really two kinds of pest control companies. There are kind that will come out and spend an hour and get rid of a bunch of mice in your home. And then there are the guys that are a bit more expensive, but they will do an audit on your home and spend a bunch of time finding all these outdoor entry cracks where mice can get in. They stuff them up. These guys you usually only have to call once. They are a bit more expensive, but you call them once and you're done. So nothing to be alarmed about. It's par for the course in Minnesota. With winter is going to be some rodents. Just have a plan to deal with them. Tip number 6, and if you're a first-time home buyer or a warm weather transplant, this might be something to have on the radar, and that is managing your outdoor water during winter. And that really comes down to just one simple tip. So first, understand frozen pipes are no joke. They break, they blow up, they leak, they can cost tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage, and most of the time they're really easy to prevent. So most homes in Minnesota and Florida, California, you warm weather guys too, you've got your outdoor spigots. If you're going to take your hose and go wash your car, water your lawn, things like that, those are your outdoor spigots. Okay, if you live in Florida, California, this next piece is not a concern. If you live in Minnesota, you need to shut off all exterior spigot valves that are inside your home. So somewhere in that home, when you're purchasing that home, your agent, your inspector, maybe the previous owner, should be able to point you to some valves inside the home where you will then shut off the water supply to those outdoor spigots. So you shut off the water supply. You then go to your exterior tap, turn it on. So what you are doing is you are just draining all that water that is in the system for the winter so there's no water to freeze. What you are doing is getting that water out of the system so that water cannot freeze, and you are preventing your pipes from bursting, frankly, when it gets too cold. So it's a super easy tip. Shut off the exterior spigot, drain the hose at the outside, and you're all set. An easy one, an important one. All right, well, our tip number 7 is going to be humidity control, and we kind of touched on this a little bit when we were talking about the furnaces when we started this video off. So just the thing to understand is your home is going to dry out fast in the winter, and this is something especially like my Florida transplants where you've got that warm humid air year round. You guys tend to notice this one really quickly. Ideal indoor air humidity should be somewhere probably 35 to 40%. When it starts to get below 30%, you're going to feel it in your skin, you're going to feel it in your sinuses, and your house can feel it too. Okay, so there are solutions for this. There's furnace humidifiers, there are whole home humidifiers, portable units you can put in bedrooms. The thing to understand is, just like we talked about, the air in your home is going to dry out. Forced air is going to speed that up versus radiant air. And there are, however, going to be solutions to deal with it. It's like anything else. Understand it, have a plan to deal with it, you'll be just fine. Well, category 8 is not super sexy, but it's pretty important. And that is going to be dealing with gutter prep and your roof health heading into winter. My Florida friends, my Arizonans, my Californians, all you guys, I would not imagine you have spent too much time on your roofs shoveling it, but that might be a treat waiting for you here in Minnesota. So a couple things about this. Starting with your gutters, as you head into winter, make sure, and during the fall season, make sure your gutters are not clogged, they are draining properly, they are working as they should, because if they are not, if they are sitting there holding full of water, when it gets cold, guess what that water does? It freezes, and now you have your gutters that are literally heavy as all get out because they are now frozen solid ice bricks. So make sure your gutters are functioning correctly, they are cleaned out, all that good stuff before the first snowfall. Make sure your downspouts are draining far from the foundation. I would definitely get gutter guards back to point number 1. And the other thing to understand is you might have to get up on that roof and shovel your roof. There is no magic number, but when you start getting, a foot, 2, 3 feet, that is load on the structure of your house. In Minnesota and other cold weather climates, they make these big, fancy, long shovels called roof rakes that allow you to stay on the ground and literally pull the snow off your roof. They're made for roofs, so they're very gentle on your shingles. You can also climb up on your roof and start shoveling. But just understanding, having gutters that are functioning correctly and just monitoring those snow loads on your roof, something to keep in mind here in Minnesota. All right, tip number 9 is going to be attic ventilation and insulation strategy. We talked about this a little bit as it relates to ice dams, but this is really important. I would say this is one of the drivers for your home's health in the winter climate, so we're going to spend a little time on this one. And what most new Minnesotans don't know, and it kind of flies against logic, I mentioned this earlier, in the winter you want a cold attic, not a warm one. Okay? A cold attic is going to reduce ice dams like we talked about. It reduces condensation and it improves your furnace efficiency. So make sure soffits are not blocked. Insulation has baffles. You got good airflow in your attic. That's really key. And a really big one, I see this a lot, especially on older homes. Don't have the vent from your bathroom just dumping warm air into your attic. That can cause mold issues, ice dams, all kinds of crap. Do not have the vent from your bathroom just dumping into the attic of your home. Make sure that thing is venting outside as it should be. All these things make a massive difference in both your heating bills and your roof health. Our last and final tip here for this video is going to be understanding your energy bills and budgeting for them. So understand, number 1, in Minnesota, especially when you are moving into a home, a lot of these energy companies will offer you a free energy audit, and they will come out to your home, look at a lot of these things we've talked about, airflow, ventilation, furnace health, and identify ways you can save money, tune-ups, little fixes you can do to save you money. So just with that out of the way, the thing you got to understand here in Minnesota, your heating bill is a very real bill, and it's going to change. It's not going to be this nice, neat bill every single month. Very ballpark, some typical winter ranges for a small condo. We're talking about a heating bill on a monthly basis. You might see anywhere between 70 to 120 bucks. Your regular detached single family home, obviously it depends on things like the size, right? But anywhere from $200 to $400 a month. You get an older home that's got poor insulation, drafty, I mean, you could be spending in upwards of $700 a month on your heating bill. Now that's an extreme case, of course, but these heating bills they're no joke. They're significant. And I just want you guys to understand that, and understand there are steps you can take to, reduce your exposure, lower those heating bills. And energy use is going to spike December through March. Like, your bills are going to go up during those months, December, January, February. Expect to pay more than you're going to in November. It's just part of the fun, part of the plan here in Minnesota. Well, Minnesota winters, like I said, they are no joke, and they can do a lot of damage. That being said, with a little simple preparation and having a plan, your home can handle just about anything. So whether you are a first-time home buyer here in the state of Minnesota or someone relocating into this lovely frigid climate you have, these 10 home essentials will save you money, prevent damage, and help keep that home running smoothly. If you liked the video, please give us a like. It really helps. Locals, what can you add? You guys always have a few good tips, so drop it in the comments if you think I missed something, a cold weather tip for the homes. My name is Chris. Contact information is right here. If you have additional questions about this stuff, don't be afraid to drop me a line. This is kind of what we do. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you guys on the next video.